Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to take a look at how I personally customize Papyrus to suit my needs. All the settings I'm going to show you I've discovered just through digging through all of Papyrus's settings. I strongly suggest you do the same. Papyrus is incredibly easy to configure to your own needs. So again, like I say, all the settings I'm going to show you are just my personal preferences. I'm not suggesting you have to do them. I just want to demonstrate how easy it is for you to personalize Papyrus to your own wants. So let's jump straight in. Okay, so this is basically what Papyrus Author looks like straight out the box, if you like, with no modifications to its appearance. So I'm going to go through step by step what I do to get Papyrus how I like it. So I'll open up the Navigator first, so that this is on the side so you can see some of the changes. So the first thing I do is I go to Options and Preferences. Most of the changes I'm going to make within Papyrus are done from the Preferences, and I'll work through one at a time. So the first thing I do is I go to Keyboard and Mouse, and I tick Hide Mouse Pointer while typing. This is just to, so that a second you hit a key, if your mouse is hovering anywhere in your text, it will instantly disappear. It just takes one more little distraction away from you as you're working. I then go to Navigator. I like to pile as much information as I can into Navigator. So I always choose small icons and small fonts. That way I can just squeeze a little bit more information into there. Okay, and like I say, these are all just personal preferences. You can pick and choose whether you want to use these or not. I then go to Pinboard area, which is this here. Now by default you get this sort of background, but you can change that to whatever you want. So for instance, you could either set it to a plain colour, and you can pick the colour that you would like. That would blind you if you used that one. Or as I do, I choose a custom image, and I tend to choose a different image for each novel I write. And to choose your image, you would just browse to whichever directory your image is stored in and use that image. Okay, so those are the first three changes that I make. So I'm going to close preferences now. Now, I discovered all of these changes by digging through the software. I've been using Papyrus for 2 years, and I just sort of dig through and find things and start using them. I highly recommend you do that. Really familiarise yourself with the software, and you're not going to hurt anything. Just have a good dig around and you'll find things. So the next thing I do, I go to View, and I like to see timestamps, which places the timestamp of when a certain portion of the book was or your document was created. So here you can see this was the 12th of the 11th 18, so 6 or 7 months ago, and as I click through you'll see the dates changed. I really like to see the timestamps, just so it's also useful as well. If you accidentally change something, you can see that the date on which that was changed. If you suddenly see everything was, say, a month ago, and then suddenly there's something there from yesterday, you'll know you've accidentally changed it. I also like to see show invisible elements. And when I turn it on, you could see the margin appeared, and I don't know whether you can see that, but it places the little dots in between your words, so that if you add an extra space by mistake, you'll see it. But I also modify what is shown of the invisible element. So again, I go back to Options, Preferences, and you go to Display. Where's Display? Element Display. And I pick and choose what is seen. Okay, so for instance, if I just move this to one side, you can see there, that's a paragraph end, this sort of little grey arrow. If I untick it, you can see that it disappears. What I also do is I change these dots for the spaces to red. just because I think it makes them easier to see. And I'll close that, so those dots are now red. Okay, now because I'm dyslexic, and this might apply to people who aren't dyslexic as well, I find it quite tiring on the eyes to have black text on a white background, and after a while the letters start to jumble. So I change the colour of this of the background. So to do that, I go to Documents, Document Properties, and you go to Document Colours, and you change the colour of the background. Now I always choose, I've created this sort of cream colour because I find it quite soft on the eye, but you could pick whatever colour you wanted. That's a bit intense again, that'd send you blind after a while. So I'm going to put it back to my cream colour. Now you can also add a gradient. And what the gradient does is it changes the colour of the page so that the closer to the bottom of the page you get, the darker it gets. I tend not to use that. I tend to just keep it as the cream. I also modify the toolbar. So if you right click on this top toolbar and go to toolbar sets, there's a whole list of toolbars available to you. So there's Office, compatibility, and there's one there that won't be available to you, that's Ben's toolbars. So this is the toolbar that I've created with all the tools on it that I like to have present at all times. Now to customize your toolbar, go back to toolbar sets, and you can see there's a load of other sets there. So what I did, I just picked one of the sets at random that were just numbered. So it's now on the 9th set. I then go to Customize Toolbar. You could then rename that to whatever you want. Okay. Now, at the moment, it's in the top line. So if I add, for instance, this cut icon, you can see that the cut icon appears there, and to move it along you just would click the move down and you can move that icon along. If I wanted to add a spacer between this and the cut icon, I can just add that spacer and I'll move that down so it's in the correct place. And can you see that spacer? And this is how I modified the toolbar. So you've got 2 lines are there by default, and you can add whatever icons in whatever order you want to each one of these. But you can also add additional lines, anything up to 4 lines. So if I go to the 3rd line, it's still not visible, but if I tick make visible, it's now added the space to add more icons in. And you can arrange these and jumble them around and do whatever you like. And this then adds the icons that you want to the toolbar. So I'm going to go back to my toolbar, Ben's toolbar, and I'm going to show you now the things that I use all the time. Well, I've already discussed or talked about invisible elements, which is this icon, so I can turn them on and off as I please. Timestamps I can turn on and off as I please. But also what I use a lot is typewriter mode. Okay, so to switch typewriter mode on, I'm going to use this icon, but you can also access it from the view menu and typewriter mode. Now, with typewriter mode on, if I scroll this up, as you type, and all I do is hit enter, the icon or the text, once it hits the predefined portion of your screen, it won't go any further. So you don't have to follow your text all the way to the bottom of your page. Now, to adjust the settings for all things to do with typewriter mode and the cursor and so on, you would go to Options, Preferences, and you're looking for Display. Okay, so the display on this side of the menu. Now, at the moment it's set, which I always have it halfway. You could choose to set your cursor to 2/3 of the way down, so that all that would happen here is instead of setting in the middle of the screen, the cursor would stop more about here. But I like it in the middle. You can also change the speed at which the icon flashes, the cursor flashes. So you can have it as fast. Hold on, why is that not flashing? Oh, that's because I had to go back into the text. Slow, go back into the text. Or medium. I always keep it on medium. You can also change the thickness of the cursor or have it as an I-beam. You can also choose whether you want it to show bold or italic. I always just leave this ticked. You can also choose whether you want to use centimetres, millimetres, inches or pixels for your measurements. I generally just leave it at inches, and you can also turn on things like show your vertical ruler from here, and also how many pages appear on your screen. Okay, so that's typewriter mode, and that's it, I think. So yeah. Okay, so that was the customization video. I really hope you take the opportunity to dig deep into your copy of the software and really customize Papyrus to how you want it. So until next time, see you later.